Hello everyone and welcome to Bevins Builds, and in this video I'm going to quickly go over the top 5 things I hate about the new Ford Bronco, but I do want to quickly say before I get started that it would not have deterred me from purchasing this awesome vehicle, and I still highly recommend one of these things for you. But one of the first things that I do not like about the new Ford Bronco is these guys right here. These are part of the frame. These are, my understanding anyway, these were something that Ford had to put on the Ford Bronco in order to get it to pass impact standards. Now, the nice thing about this, and I will say that the engineers put their thinking cap on, is that this and this can be removed. As you can see, I'm trying to get you up close and personal. There's 2 bolts that'll let you slide this arm out. And the same thing applies back here. You have the 2 bolts right there and you can slide this arm out. The reason that I hate these is just they're not aesthetically pleasing. And they'll also get in the way of your wheels if you wanted to go with a larger wheel size. But again, because they're removable, it's not that big of a deal. My biggest complaint with them, though, is they should have put some sort of end cap on it, whether it be a plastic cap or welded a piece of metal over the front of it. Because just to walk up and look at a Bronco and to see that, to me, is kind of ugly. Here is complaint number 2. When you go to open the door, you'll watch this will come down just like a 1/4 of an inch. Let me show you here. As you can see, it is now down a 1/4 of an inch, and when you go to shut it, it goes back up. Now let me explain to you why I say I hate that, is I live in a very cold climate. Here today, I'm actually lucky I have a 46-degree day, but I've already experienced it once. I've owned the Bronco for a total of 3 weeks now, and we had one day of snow, we had a couple days of freezing rain, and what actually happens is the rain and the snow gets onto the side of the Bronco, and it gets into the track. And what happens, or what happened with me anyway, is the ice prevented the window from coming down. What ends up happening is the window gets caught in that little top channel up there, and it makes the window pop and kind of jerk around a little bit. So to me, it was very poor design, very poor way of doing things. And the other thing that I do want to point out about that is because every time you open and close your door, your window is always going to be going up and down. I feel that it's going to be a potential problem, and it's going to cause premature wear on the motor for the window, considering that it's constantly operating, and the fact that every time it snows and it freezes, the motor is trying to pull down and it can't. It's just going to put a lot of unnecessary stress on that electrical motor. So I really hope that Ford will look at doing something different to the future Ford Bronco models. Now, since we were already at the door, let's just go ahead and hop in this guy and have a look around. My complaint number 3 is quite simply this: the stupid auto start stop thing that they put on every new car. I have a manual transmission, and I do not want the car to shut off at a light because it's going to mess me up when I go to accelerate and take off, release my foot from the clutch, and add my foot to the gas. It's just something that shouldn't be part of a car with a manual transmission. The only bright side to it is at least they put the switch on the dash, so it's easy to turn off. You just have to remember to hit the button before you start driving. Now, here is problem number 4. Now, I just told you I had a manual shift car, and again, this is something that's going on with all cars, so this would not deter me from purchasing this particular vehicle. But the emergency brake. The emergency brake is done with the electronics. Now, let me explain to you why this is a bad thing. When you're driving a manual transmission car, anytime you put the car in park, there is no actual park. Your park is technically neutral, so you have to put the car in gear. Well, when you put the car in gear, it still might be able to roll through the gears, so you have to apply your emergency brake. With an automatic car, you don't ever have to apply the emergency brake. So having an electronic emergency brake is not a big deal. But in a manual car, to me, for safety features, you need to have a mechanical emergency brake. Every car I've ever owned, like my Chevy Cruze, for example, has a mechanical emergency brake. And now for complaint number 5. Here's the complaint, and it's a 2-part complaint. Number 1, I don't know why they didn't just make it to where you could just lift the rear portion of the window open. I know it probably would have taken a little bit more engineering to make it that way, but it would have made it much more functional. And here's the other major portion of that complaint. And let's walk around to the side so I can show you. Every time you have the rear of the vehicle propped open like I have it right now, it folds a little bit, which is going to cause some wear and tear on your top. I'm not as worried about that because here's the major complaint. Every time I open it up, the side window comes detached. I didn't pay attention to that the first time I actually opened it. I closed it, and when I went to leave the store parking lot, all of a sudden I could hear this really weird wind noise, and it was because of this right here. I pulled over and found that, oh crap, my side window actually came detached. And this, even though I'm using it as number 5 for my complaints on the new Ford Bronco, this is probably one of my biggest pet peeves, between this and the fact of the emergency brake. Those are my two biggest complaints on the Ford Bronco. And if you liked this video and made it to the end and want to learn more about the new 2021 Ford Bronco, don't forget to check out this playlist here.